Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Thursday, November 20th, 2025 regular governing board meeting. This meeting is beginning at 6:16. Ms. Tucker, would you please do roll call?
Thank you. Governing Board members present, Governing Board President, Mr. Kyle Clayton, Governing Board Vice President, Ms. Lindsay Peterson, and Governing Board members, Ms. Jenny Abbott-Bayardi and Mr. Bill Adams.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to item B, a moment of silence and meditation. Next, we'll move to the Washington Elementary School District land acknowledgement.
Ashia. Jihendasle, Tabaha Bashti, Kia Anidashte, Tachini Dashanella. Hello, my name is Jamie Brown, and it is my honor to read the WSD land acknowledgement for you all. Washington Elementary School District respectively acknowledges that our diverse community and schools are located on the ancestral lands of the Atham, Hohokam, Akimel Atham, and Atham Pipash since time immemorial. WSD is committed to work in partnership with the sovereign Native nations and indigenous communities to respect and accept responsibility of stewarding their important heritage and culture with our students and our community. Thank you.
Technical difficulties this evening. Thank you. Next, we'll move for the adoption of the November 20th, 2025 regular meeting agenda.
So move. Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the adoption passes. Can I have a motion for the approval of the October 30th, 2025 regular meeting and public hearing meeting minutes?
So moved. A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the approval passes. Next, we'll move to current events and acknowledgements. Governing board members. Mr. Adams.
Thank you. It seems a while since we've been here. Just wanted, I don't know if I brought it up last time, but I attended the annual Champions for Kids conference back on October 22nd of 2025. Jenny Mullins and Carla Phillips did a beautiful job with their first annual conference. It was basically about those with special needs, and it was an amazing conference. On Wednesday the 29th, they did a site visit with Abraham Lincoln and Jennifer Griggs, principal, and on Wednesday, November 5th, did a site visit with Chaparral, Principal Molly Boyer, and then on this past Tuesday night, we did a WDEA grant celebration. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge those that are part of that foundation and the amount of work they do, and there's some of them that are in the room here. And personally, I can never thank you all enough for what you do for our staff, and the celebration was amazing, and the grants that were given out. And again, just many, many, many thanks to the foundation for the beautiful job you guys do. Then on Wednesday, I did a site visit to Roadrunner Elementary with Principal Courtney Malata, is that it? Malata, thank you. Forgive me, Courtney. I'm sorry. And then Assistant Principal Bridwell. I think, is that right? So again, all the site visits, they do an amazing job. The facilities look great. I go down the list of all the individuals that we're fortunate enough to see. And whenever I do go to do these site visits, I do represent the board. And a lot of us have different jobs and are unable to do these things. And I know my fellow board members do see a lot of the sites, but just can't thank these individuals enough, all the campuses and all the individuals that I get an opportunity to meet. Just amazing individuals, and I thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Abbott Biardi?
Thank you, President Clayton. Welcome to all that are here tonight. We celebrate you. And also thank you to everyone who has experienced and enjoyed rainy day schedule the last week or 10 that we've had it. Thank you for your hard work. I know there have been all kinds of hail and rain, and I just really appreciate your hard work. I know how difficult that can be for the kids to enjoy special time inside and not enjoy as much time outside. So thank you again for your hard work with that. I was able to attend the Saguaro Veterans Day celebration, and it was great. First of all, I saw a veteran who is the father of my middle son's best friend. They've been best friends since MAP, and it was nice to see him and to celebrate him. But it was really cool because they had all the kids lined up and were, clapping, thank you, veterans, and so forth. And Troya had some, I think it was their student council who was there as well, and it was really a great event. So thank you for all those who had the opportunity to host something like that at their school during the Veterans 2 weeks ago, I think it was. And also thank you, veterans, for the sacrifice and your sacrifice and service for our country. And then I was able to go to the foundation celebration. Was that just yesterday? Tuesday. 2 days ago, Wednesday, Tuesday. It's a bit of a blur, and it's really fun to listen to the grants that people get and the things that they're buying in different ways that they. Teachers and staff and community members who have received these to reach kids in different ways and motivate them and encourage them in different ways that they learn and have fun with. So I always enjoy seeing my Pencil Pal person from Mountain View, who I gave up on Pencil Pal because I was a terrible Pencil Pal person writing, but all the hard work that everyone does going into not only the generosity of the foundation, but also using the funds in a positive way. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Ms. Peterson?
Thank you, President Clayton. I am so impressed with all the wonderful visits and time that my fellow board members are spending, so thank you so much for doing that. I wanted to publicly say how much I appreciate the Washington Education Foundation. I was not able to attend the grants. It's the first time I've been able to go to the grant presentation since I've been on the board because of middle school basketball conflicts, and my husband was running the middle school basketball game at Thunderbird High School between Desert Foothills and Mountain Sky, and then my son was playing in a different middle school basketball game, so we both had to be enjoying middle school basketball. They were great games, actually, I have to say. They were both, we were texting each other back and forth. I'm like, it's 34 here, 10 seconds left. And he's like, 24 here. So anyway, great events for that. But I was very, very saddened to not be able to attend that event because it is such a special event. And I think it's so important that we recognize that the Washington Education Foundation is a unique organization to our district that does not exist. Organizations like that don't exist in most other districts. I honestly don't know of any that they exist in, but it's a group of educators who came together and said, we want to continue to support education, and they fundraise for it, and then they supply our classes and our teachers with things that they could not. I mean, honestly, teachers would be paying for it out of their own pockets if they didn't have this. So I want to highlight how important that work is, how valuable that work is, and how appreciated it is, and how unique it is to Washington, and what a special opportunity it gives our students, and to appreciate the work that goes into that, and to appreciate those teachers. It takes time to sit down and write a grant and think, what do I want to do? How can I best benefit my kids? And to be really thoughtful and intentional about that. So congratulations to all the recipients. Thank you to WEF for the work that it does. And just a little bit more middle school basketball. Thanks.
Thank you. I will echo the gratitude towards the Washington Education Foundation. It's a beautiful event, and they do great work. And so thank you to them, and thank you to all the teachers that take the time to write that grant. The presentations are remarkable because it's so intentional to advance learning in creative ways, and it just blows you away to think, okay, the way that they're thinking about unlocking learning is so amazing, and the WEF Foundation and their support is making that possible. So thank you. Last week we had another Enrollment Stabilization Committee meeting. It was very productive. We're taking our ideas and assigning them to a person who will be in charge of implementing them, and the cabinet team is going to be making sure, overseeing that work to make sure it gets done. And tonight we're actually going to see some of that work coming before the board. So I appreciate everybody who participates in that committee and helping to change the direction of our enrollment. Speaking of middle school basketball, I was at the Charger Classic, which is a tournament over at Choya. It's so amazing and very competitive. The community turns out and the students play their hearts out, and we have some very talented basketball players in our district. So I want to thank everyone who makes it possible. Choya staff, staff from Lakeview, Mr. Woodward, our principals, our coaches, Mr. Mason, and our parents and families and their friends that all come out to support these students and make this possible. So thank you to them, and I heard a round of applause, so let's just give them a little second. That's it. Thank you, Dr. Hightower.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, members of the governing board. I couldn't agree with you more on the Washington Education Foundation and the work that they do to go above and beyond in supporting our students and our educators. When I went to the event, I was definitely inspired just to see everything that they give. But when the educators started talking and sharing the stories of why they wrote this mini grant and why they wanted to follow up with these very creative ideas, I left even more inspired, and my heart was just warmed to see that. The school visits continue, so now I think I'm like 1,600. Somebody said, are you actually counting them? But I really, in this month of Thanksgiving, I really would like to thank our students, our families, our teachers, our administrators, and our support staff for everything that they do for our students, and in always keeping them at the forefront of all the decisions that they make so we can meet that mission and vision. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Next, we will move to the recognition of our 2025 A schools. Dr. Hightower?
Mr. President, members of the governing board, today is such a special night where we get to celebrate the great work of our teachers. I will ask Ms. Lori Mora, who has been leading this work in academic services as our assistant superintendent, to share a little bit more on how this puzzle comes together.
Thank you, Governing Board President and board members and community. Tonight's a very special night because we do get to recognize those schools that, due to their assessment scores on the AASA for the 24-25 school year, have achieved the status of being an A school. And this year we are extremely excited in Washington Elementary School District. We are celebrating 11 schools this year, and so this is quite an accomplishment. We will talk a little bit later in the presentation about how they achieved those letter grades, so we'll save some of that for that piece. But tonight we are very honored to have the schools here and their administration, and several of them have team members with. We wish we could list everybody's names off, but we're going to have them come up, and they'll be receiving a banner that they get to share at their school site that displays proudly that they are an A school, and then we will get some pictures taken at that time. So, without further ado, we are going to begin with Abraham Lincoln, and we would like Principal Jennifer Greeks and team to come on up. Thank you, Abraham Lincoln. All right, our very next school is Acacia Elementary with Principal Hollingsworth and Assistant Principal Mr. Phil Nichols here tonight, and team. Okay, our next school, Ironwood Elementary, and Principal Stacy Solis, and team member. Okay, our next school, Lakeview Elementary with Miss Lindsay Larson, principal, and her mighty team with her tonight. Almost the whole school is here, I believe. Thank you, Lakeview, and thank you for your staff for being here tonight. All right, our next school, Lookout Mountain with Principal Tricia Heller and Assistant Principal Cameron Balker. And now we are going to recognize Moon Mountain Elementary with Miss Donna DeHaan, principal. Our next school is our Online Learning Academy, which is housed at Royal Palm. So Principal Darcy Estrada and team are here to receive their banner. And we are having Principal Estrada stay up there because Royal Palm Elementary is also an A school. So congratulations, Royal Palm. And the Royal Palm team. And now, Sunburst Elementary School, Principal Jennifer Dial and team are here to be recognized. And now, Sweetwater Elementary, Principal Susie Smith and team here. Thank you, Sweetwater. And in December, we will be recognizing Orangewood Elementary, and they are unable to be here tonight. Obviously, they're dealing with a difficult situation, and we wish the community well.
Thank you, and we will just take a moment to let anybody who would like to exit before public comment. I also would like to take a moment to recognize that the Maricopa County Superintendent of Schools, Ms. Boggs, is in attendance. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Next, we'll move to item I, public participation. Ms. Tucker?
Thank you. We do have requests to speak for public participation. If you could read the admonition.
I'm so sorry. That's embarrassing. Here we go. The Governing Board welcomes the responsibly presented viewpoints of our students, parents, community, and staff. Our intent is to maintain a professional atmosphere that promotes public participation and the conduct of business in an orderly, efficient manner. Speakers are allotted a maximum speaking time of 3 minutes. If interpretation services are required, speakers are allotted a maximum speaking time of 6 minutes, including interpretation. Depending upon the quantity of speakers and the length of the agenda, the board president may reduce this time limit. The board, through the superintendent, has established procedures for responding to questions and complaints. Board policy also allows any grievances regarding district operations or staff members to be submitted in writing to the superintendent. Upon conclusion of the open call to the public, individual members of the board may respond to any criticism by an individual who has addressed the board, or ask staff to review a matter, or ask that a matter be put on a future agenda.
Thank you. Ms. Tucker?
Thank you. The first speaker that would like to address the board is Mr. Luis Acosta. He would like to address the board regarding the Orangewood incident, and he's from the Orangewood community.
Members of the governing board, Superintendent Hightower, thank you for this opportunity. For the record, my name is Luis Acosta. I am a parent of a student at the a seventh grader at the Orangewood Elementary School, which obviously belongs to your school district, and I'm just here to share how disappointed and frankly pissed off I am at the way that this entire matter has been handled over the last 24 hours. A little girl was raped, and what I heard from my school district were crickets. I received a phone call which directed me to look at an email yesterday at noon. I looked at the email and it said that the school was on lockdown or there was an incident. And then this morning at 8 a.m., I got another email telling me that a student had been assaulted. I did not find out that a student had been sexually assaulted until I was at KJZZ earlier today, ready to give an interview on a different topic. And one of the presenters was basically speaking to me and telling me, oh, how unfortunate is it that this happened at Orangewood Elementary? My kid goes to Orangewood, and I am finding out from the newscaster at KJZZ, not from the school district, not from the members of the governing board, not from the superintendent, not from the district's Facebook page. I don't know if there are any other parents in this audience, or one other parent in this audience right now who is here because a child was raped at our local school site. This room should be filled with parents right now, and it is not. I think that directly shows you that you all have failed. And it's critical that you all take the steps necessary to fix these issues. Because two parents in a room with, 30 open seats is not okay. And at the end of the day, I get it. I saw that an administrator or somebody was put on administrative leave, and I hope that that's not the only thing that happens. I hope that there's accountability held at the school site, at the school district, because the communication with the parents is obviously not working. So I don't know who your marketing person is, but you should have a conversation with that individual about actually communicating with parents and with you all. Because before this meeting, I went through every single one of your social media accounts to see if you had posted anything about the incident, and nothing. So I have never in my 15, almost 20 years working with school districts across the state have encountered a situation where I have not at least been made aware of a situation like this. In Roosevelt, in Murphy, which is one of the worst school districts in the state, they communicate, as terrible as it is. And how can it be that we have so many A-rated school sites and the communication is not happening? I realize I'm out of time, but I just hope that you all take this opportunity to, A, hold people accountable and fix your systems, because this is not okay.
Thank you. The next individual that would like to address the board is Koo Page. She would like to address the board regarding safety and security.
Hi, my name is Quay Page. I'm speaking to you all as a social worker, a concerned community member, but most importantly, as a mother. A mother who entrusts the school to keep her two children safe. And yesterday's horrific events has broken that trust. And safety has been compromised. And like he said, there has been no communication. I don't want to speak on behalf of the other students and teachers on that campus, but I'm here to advocate for them. And I demand answers and accountability, because respectfully, I don't know how that happened. I feel that it could have been prevented. We had policies and procedures in place for this, and at every level, it could have been prevented. I have been on school campuses myself and have been required to give identification and have been escorted in, and yet that did not happen yesterday. I always tell my kids to look for the trusted adults to help them, Where were they yesterday for that little girl? How is there an open, unattended classroom? When I talk to other teachers, the classrooms are usually locked. How do we go forward to support these families and the victims? What are the resources that are being poured into our community? I just want answers because it has been so unclear. How am I supposed to go home to my 2 babies and tell them? How do we move forward to build that trust and safety again for our children, campus, and community? I wish that I could show you how disappointed, how hurt, how enraged I am. But I want to focus on, again, how do we move forward? Because I don't know how from this. And I'm really sad that only 2 of us were able to show up. And I hope that, again, you guys can listen to us. And again, we want to protect our babies. And that was a huge failure yesterday.
Thank you. I will just say, due to an ongoing legal investigation, the board is not able to comment at this time. Can I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through M, except for F, G, and I?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
And the agenda is approved. I'd like to take a moment to thank the, I'm sorry. I'd like to take a moment to thank BJ's Restaurant, Mountain Sky PTO, Panda Express, Pediatrics, Peter Piper Pizza, Raising Cane's, and Cynthia Rogers for supporting our students. Moving to item F, I just wanted to, I know, I will make a motion to approve it. I know Kid in the Corner is here, and if they wanted to take a moment to talk about the resources that they are bringing to this district, you can come on up. I'll make a motion to approve this item.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President Clayton and board members. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm not sure if you've seen our materials beforehand, but I do have workbooks for you. If not, our slides mimic those same workbooks. We're an organization that was started about 8.5 years ago after our founder lost her 16-year-old son to suicide. We are nonpartisan. We do not allow politics or money to come into our program. We do not bill schools. We do not ever believe that money should get in the way of kids receiving this information. So we do whatever fundraising, grant writing, anything we can to continue that, and we'd love to serve your students here at Washington. We're really founded on 3 pillars: education and awareness, and that's bringing our program to your students; spreading community kindness, and we do something at the end of every program with our elementary school students called rock, paper, scissors. I'd have a rock for each of you as well. Just letting people know that somebody's thinking about them and caring about them. And then connecting resources, families to resources. Part of what got in the way of Zach Sumner getting the help he did before he unfortunately took his life was that his mother didn't know where to get help, which is crazy. If we break a leg, we have a cold, we get cancer, we know how to get help. Why do we not when we need mental health? She was able to make an appointment for Zach. It was just before Christmas in May, right after his first suicide attempt. He took his life in June. We do not want kids to not get this information. We will not let money get in the way of it, but we are also here for these kids after our program. We spend time in your schools with your kids, but we don't feel like that's the end of our relationship. We want kids to know that if they need us, if they need to be connected to resources, we are here for them. Once a year, we do a mental health fair called Mental Health Matters Arizona. We connected with 49 different youth mental health organizations this year, so we have resources for kids.
Thank you so much. Next, I will make a motion to approve item G.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I wanted to just point out that this is bringing some preschool resources to our district, not only to help early literacy for our preschool students, but also to help support our families. So we're excited to welcome Stepping Stone
Familiar
to
with what you guys do.
WESD.
Thank you.
Next, I'll make a motion to approve item I. It's a I'll make a motion to approve item I.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And if anyone from Billy's Place is here and would like to come up and take a moment to speak?
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Kayleen Ashbridge and former principal at Cactus Run, so it's nice to be back. I am retired, but I found Billy's Place, or it found me. Billy's Place is a nonprofit that supports grieving children and their families. And so this memorandum is a part of participating in a variety of things that we offer. We provide training, but particularly this month is Children's Grief Awareness Month. We add Children's Grief and Teens Awareness Month, and it is a national endeavor so that no child grieves alone and not isolated. And so schools are the hub of where our kids are, and so we are grateful that this year we have 27 school districts and 210 schools that are participating in our third year doing this. And the messaging is be there. And so we give out shirts, and hopefully with your approval that your schools will be participating with shirts and posters and stickers and lanyards as a messaging for telling schools that when they're at school, go to a person that you feel safe and telling them about their loss. And I have some RAC cards. We have two components. We provide services for families, so it's free of cost. And so I oversee the traumatic loss group of homicide, suicide, and drug-related losses. And then my school bereavement side of me is reaching out to schools and doing grief education and going to fairs and doing similar work that Brian was sharing. So I'm grateful that I'm here, and I hope that your support will be given.
Thank you. The motion passed 4-0, so we're looking forward to welcoming you to WSD. Next, we'll move to item 3A, the 2025 A through F school label presentation. Dr. Hightower?
Mr. President, members of the governing board, Dr. Carrie Jovanan, our Director of Assessment and Evaluation, was going to be doing the presentation, but there was an incident in which she can make it. She's okay, thankfully. So Ms. Laura Mora, our Assistant Superintendent of Academic Services, will be presenting on the work, and a few of our principals will also share some of the strategic work they have done to lead their schools.
Good evening, Governing Board President, Governing Board members, and community. Tonight we are, as we said, we enjoyed celebrating our A schools, but we wanted to share just briefly what goes into the process of identifying our schools for their letter grade and some of the essential components to that. So as always, we like to start with our vision and mission, and so we are working to achieve excellence every day for every child and every opportunity. And as we look at the work that has been put into our schools and the progress that we are making with the various components of the letter grades, we are on track with our vision and mission and really focused on those academic results. This is a reminder of two of the goals that we are focused on, increasing our math proficiency, and we're looking at a 3% increase for that. And then for English language arts, we are looking at an overall increase of 2%. Looking forward to that on our next results with AASA. So when we look at the breakdown of the letter grade, these are the components that go into it. So 50% of that is growth. 30% then focuses on that proficiency piece. And then we do get 10% for EL proficiency and growth, and then 10% for acceleration readiness. And so that is the breakdown of all the different components that go into the letter grade. So we are very excited to celebrate. As we saw tonight, we have 11 A schools. We have 18 B schools. And so that puts 87% of our schools at excellent or highly performing. And then we have schools that maintained their letter grade, and so 20 of our schools were able to do that. And then we have schools that improved by 1 letter grade, and that was 10 of our schools. And then A schools nearly tripled since the year 2008-2009, so that's a 33% increase. And so that's quite a celebration for Washington Elementary School District. And so that does put us at a district letter grade of a B. So here's the breakdown, and you can see by school year the change in the different categories. So as I said, 11 A's this year, 18 B's. We have 3 C schools, and no schools that are in the D or F category. We do have one school that is listed as unrated at this point. That's Manzanita, and I'll talk about that just a little bit at the end. So, if you add that up, we are missing a school, and I want to explain why. This is just a brief scale breakdown of where our schools fall in the range that they are in. So the green are all the A schools. So you can see where they're at in the range of that area where the B's fall. And so if you see on the far right side, that's for this year. And so we are inching all of those schools up and working them towards the top of that green. And so even moving our A's, continuing to move the A's to those upper levels. So what does each letter grade mean? So I won't read the whole slide to you, but obviously A is excellent, B are highly performing schools, C are performing, D would then fall into the minimally performing, and then F into failing. And so there's a brief descriptor of each one of those areas. So here are some of the celebrations. We have top 10 schools that achieved the 50-point max, and so there's 50 points total that they can achieve. And so we had our top 10 schools that were able to do that. And so we're celebrating Sweetwater, Orangewood, Lakeview, Royal Palm, our online learning academy, Chaparral, Maryland, Cactus Wren. Arroyo came very, very close, as well as Desert View. So they were just within just a smidgen of getting that 50. So we are recognizing their work as well. Some of the other celebrations, we had Lookout Mountain, Abraham Lincoln, and Saguaro. They had the highest proficiency in the district, and so those are the respective numbers that they got out of 30 points. Roadrunner had the largest improvement overall, and so we're celebrating their success with an increase of 13.3 points, and that's quite a jump in 1 year. So that is a celebration. 9 schools achieved our science bonus points, and that was something that our district was focusing on because in previous years we hadn't seen those points achieved. And so that was nice to see 9 of our schools achieve that. And then Lookout Mountain had the highest overall score of points. They had achieved 90.54 out of a possible 105 points. So those are some of the highlights that we are celebrating. Overall, our district scored higher than the state average when it came to the total percent earned compared to all schools in the K-8 model. And so, once again, you'll see the difference there. We're always trying to at least come close to the state, and you'll notice in years past we had not done that the previous year, but this year we were able to surpass the state. So that was exciting. When it comes to growth points, we are also higher than the state average, and that's compared to all schools in the A through F K-8 model, and so that's also very exciting. So you can see Washington, with the work that we've put in, we have now exceeded the state in the number of points average for growth, and so that's extreme celebration for the work that's being done at those schools and really getting our students to grow. Now here's where we still have some work. We did score lower than the state average for proficiency points overall, and so as we've been talking and working towards those goals, is we realize it's important. We've achieved growth. Now we need to get it to that proficiency level, and so while we did achieve an increase, so we're celebrating that as well. We will continue to work on how do we focus on getting those proficiency points that we now need. This is a document we share every year. We kind of do a comparison of how the schools perform by region. And so you have the middle schools listed in yellow, and then the schools that feed into that region listed below. And so that just gives you an idea of how, when we work to look at a particular area and how the feeder patterns are working into the middle school and how we maintain those points as we move forward. Once again, Manzanita was designated. Right now, we are appealing their grade. So what that means is that in looking at our data, we feel that there might be a little bit of a discrepancy in how the state had given the points that they achieved. And so we think that with an appeal process that we may be able to get their score moved and increased. So there, we submitted that appeal this week, and we will hear, I believe it's January 26th, when the board will decide on that final. So it's being reviewed, and we will know by then. So right now they are just listed as UR. So we don't have a letter grade for them just yet. So what we always like to do is share from the people that are out there working to make these results happen and the work that they've done. So we asked 3 of our schools, our administrators, to come up and briefly share just some key points on how they were able to achieve the results that they did. And so first we'd like to call up Ms. Lindsay Larson from Lakeview, and she's going to share some of the success at her school.
Hello, hello. President Clayton, governing board members, Dr. Hightower, and associate superintendents, I could not be more proud to represent Lakeview tonight. From the moment I walked on this campus 3 years ago, I knew I landed on a special campus. This is due to the committed staff, amazing students, and supporting community. Over the past year, Lakeview has seen some remarkable academic growth, and I am proud to share how the progress stems from the dedication of our amazing staff in 3 key areas of focus: our commitment to English language learners, intentional small group instruction, and purposeful data analysis. Our teachers bring a depth of experience, stability, and heart that anchors the Lakeview community. Their dedication to putting children first is evidence in every lesson they plan, every conversation they hold, and every decision they make. With a commitment to nurturing the whole child, they consistently go above and beyond to ensure that students feel supported, challenged, and valued. Their years of expertise inform their practice, but it is their unwavering belief in the potential of every learner that truly sets them apart. First, our focus on ELL instruction has transformed classrooms into language-rich environments where every student has access to meaningful academic conversations. Teachers have integrated scaffolds, visuals, and structured language practice to ensure comprehension and participation. This approach has not only supported our English language learners, but it has also deepened the understanding of all of our students. Next, we strengthened our practice of small group instruction. By meeting students where they are, teachers can provide a more targeted support and enrichment aligned within the learner's needs, not only within Tier 1, but also with Tier 2 and Tier 3 levels. These small groups allowed for actionable academic feedback, differentiated instruction, and stronger relationships, helping students feel both challenged and supported in their learning journeys. Finally, data analysis has become the cornerstone of our instructional decision-making. Teachers collaborate regularly to examine formative assessments, language proficiency data, and growth metrics. This process has allowed us to identify gaps early, adjust instruction strategically, and celebrate growth intentionally. The shift from teaching to the whole group and responding to the individual has been powerful and visible in our results. Because of these combined efforts, we have seen measurable academic gains across content areas, with especially strong progress among our ELL students. More importantly, we've cultivated a culture of reflection and responsiveness where data informs our instruction, collaboration drives our practice, and every student's success is a shared goal. As we look ahead, we remain committed to refining these strategies, continuing to empower our teachers, and ensuring that every learner, regardless of their language background, achieves their fullest potential. We are a very proud family at Lakeview and wholeheartedly share this success with both the current and former staff and administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakeview team, and they were able to take their letter grade from a B to an A this year, so we're very proud of them. All right, up next, we're going to ask Ms. Stacy Solie to come up, and she is going to speak on behalf of Ironwood, her school, and they also took their letter grade from a B to an A.
Good evening, President Clayton, Vice President Bayardi, members of the governing board, administrative team, and our community. My name is Stacy Solie, proud principal of Ironwood. Tonight, I have the honor of celebrating our school's tremendous achievement, earning an A rating and one of the highest overall scores in the district. We did so through intentional, collaborative, student-centered work. I'd like to highlight 3 key drivers that made this possible. First, improving Tier 1 instruction through collaborative planning. Our team's committed to consistent, structured, collaborative planning grounded in essential standards. Grade levels broke down standards for every unit and engaged in true backwards planning in both ELA and math, utilizing priority questions, aligning assessments, and then using that data to drive instruction. They held goal-setting discussions with students so that children understood what they were learning and why. Our teachers built a culture where high-quality Tier 1 instruction is the expectation and every student benefits from it. Second, targeted support for our English learners. Students use Lexia consistently to help EL students hear, practice, and strengthen their English skills, while focused small groups met regularly and closely monitored progress school-wide. Without a dedicated EL tester or TTL, our EL teachers partnered with the instructional coach to identify students ready for ACELA success and provided additional support, including vertical team planning and instruction. And perhaps most inspiring, a group of dedicated teachers voluntarily tutored students before and after school. Their commitment ensured that our EL learners had every possible opportunity to grow. Third, meaningful growth for students with disabilities. Ironwood is a small school of 433 students, and 154 of them, 35%, are identified as students with a disability, including resource, special needs, preschool, CCK, and CCA serving 4th through 6th grades, in which all of those students take the standard AASA assessment. Using iReady and MyPath data, we tracked progress, set goals, and designed instruction that met students' needs. Our PLCs focused on what each grade level needed, whether backwards planning, analyzing assessments, or monitoring MyPath using the district-created PIM form. We didn't just participate in the district MyPath challenges, we created school-wide grade level and classroom challenges, celebrating success at every turn. And the results speak volumes. Students with disabilities reached a median progress to annual typical growth of 82% and 92% for students in 4th through 6th grade alone. We began our year with a quote from the movie A League of Their Own and the great Jimmy Dugan. "It's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. The hard is what makes it great." Ironwood is a school that didn't let the hard get in the way of doing what's great for kids, and our results show it. Our students and our community are seeing truly great things. Thank you for recognizing our work and for supporting our students, families, and staff. I am incredibly proud to be the principal of Ironwood.
Thank you. And then our school that had the largest increase this year with 13.30 points, which is a lot in 1 year, they took their letter grade from a C to a B. So we're extremely proud of Roadrunner, and we would like to ask Principal Courtney Mulata to come up, and she can give us her 3 key points for.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the governing board. I'm delighted to speak tonight on behalf of the Roadrunner community to highlight the incredible work of our school students, educators, and family members. As Ms. Morris shared, we had the largest increases in points last school year, which is a testament to the dedication, hard work, and true commitment to improvement of every member of our campus community. While there was the confluence of factors that contributed to our success, I'd like to briefly highlight just a few points of Roadrunner pride. First, perhaps most importantly, our teachers made a collective commitment to the growth of every student, believing beyond any doubt that each child that comes through our doors is capable of achieving and growing at high levels, and that as teachers, we can ensure that this happens. Our leadership team embraced this sense of urgency. We set quarterly goals that were targeted, measurable, and then we collaborated on the most effective instructional practices to meet those goals. We began thinking outside the box. We found new and creative ways to make sure every student receives small group and individualized instruction. Then we celebrated every small win and every small milestone, from positive phone calls home when a child met their letter sounds goals to grade-wide growth assemblies, student-led conferences, celebration breakfasts. The spring results were indeed reflective of these efforts. As a result of these small goals throughout the year, we reduced the number of our third grade students who are minimally proficient, and we increased proficiency in each of our targeted subgroups. My second point is that our school is particularly proud that we've exited TSI status, which is a federal accountability acronym that you do not want to be labeled. Because of our growth and achievement of our students with disabilities. And while we celebrate growth of any kind at Roadrunner, our team feels a particular responsibility to ensure that our actions, activities, and approaches allow all students, regardless of abilities or disabilities, that they have access to equal opportunity to high-quality education. Our special education and general education teams work diligently together to facilitate inclusive learning environments with both push-in and pull-out services to ensure all students were accessing grade-level curriculum and meeting goals. We were proud that our students with disabilities increased their proficiency by 7 points and that we earned the special education bonus points on the state accountability measure. And the final point of Roadrunner pride that contributed to our growth as a school is our professional learning model. Our school was proud to have previously accepted the ADE Title I Exemplary School Program Award for the innovative way which we commit to job-embedded professional learning. Each week we have what we call Wacky Wednesday, in which students enjoy extended time in specials and teachers engage in training, planning, and professional learning, including learning walks. And during this time, teachers get the opportunity to visit classrooms across campus, learning in real time from colleagues, the ones who are doing it every day. Certainly as teachers, we can get stuck in our own four walls of our classrooms. So to have this chance to observe teachers and reflect upon our own practices during the school day has been paramount to improving instruction at our school. Thank you to governing board members for your work and your advocacy in supporting our district and our schools. Couldn't be more proud to be part of the Roadrunner community, and thanks for a chance to share a spotlight on some of the practices and amazing teaching and learning that happens at Roadrunner. Thank you.
Thank you, and we thank all the hard work of the teachers of those teams and all of our teams. Once again, we look forward to continuing to celebrate and watch Washington Elementary School Districts continue to shine and grow. With that, we will take any questions that you may have.
Board members? Ms. Peterson?
Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation, and congratulations to our schools. I just wanted, if you could go back to the growth slide, which I think is like slide 3 or the one that lists the schools with growth. Maybe it's slide 6. Nope, it's not. Maybe it's slide 9. I'm just going to go 3, 6, 9. I'm just going to count. Can you go to 9? Sorry. This is the one I want. This is the one I want. Okay. I just wanted to highlight, again, and I know you said this, but just the growth. Listen, there's no separating socioeconomics from the state test. There's simply not. And so some of our schools are always going to come in with proficiency. They're just going to. They just have opportunity that others don't. And so what is education about? It's about growing. It's about learning. It's about coming in where you are and then being further along than you were. If you're an EL student who is learning the language, if you're a newcomer, you are not going to be proficient on the state test, but you can show growth in that time. And so I just really wanted to highlight the work that some of these schools are doing, especially those schools that didn't quite make it to the A with those full points. It feels so good to be an A school. In education, we get very little validation. In a classroom, you're working your tail off and you think you're doing the right thing. And there's not a lot of times that a kid comes up to you and says, man, actually, I had an experience today where a kid said, I think you're a really good teacher, miss. And I was like, okay, that'll keep me going until Christmas break, right? But we don't get that very often. And so this letter grade is kind of like a concrete way to be like, yeah, we're doing it. And so to be that close, to see that much growth in your students and not get that reward is a little bit, it's just hard. But so I just wanted to recognize that growth piece again. And then I also just wanted to express just so much appreciation to the thoughtful ways in which our schools are really working to improve. I heard each of you say Tier 1 instruction, which is a little bit of jargon, but it just essentially means that every time a teacher gets up and gives a lesson for the class, that it is absolutely the best lesson that they can give. That they, I tell students all the time, like, do you guys think there's like a book I just pull these lessons out of and they're just made and it tells me exactly. It's not like that, right? We're thoughtful, and the way that we ask questions and the way that we ask students to respond to those questions and the way that they interact. And so I just appreciate that focus on how important that Tier 1 instruction is, because if we can reach our kids there and then differentiate for those that need a little extra support, we're making our job so much easier. We're making their day so much more enjoyable, and we're making everything work. So I very much appreciate that that focus on that, and then looking at how we can support those populations that need a little bit more. So thanks for the information. Congratulations to our schools. I'm just so proud of the growth that we're pushing in our kids. All of our kids, our EL students who are working so hard for those points on the Azella proficiency, but then Azella growth, because it's going to take them time to be proficient. And so just watching those numbers creep up is really rewarding for our kids. And that's it.
Thank you. Other board members? Mr. Adams?
Thank you. I'm on a North Phoenix Regional Planning. It's got a title that is like a mile long. And I found myself yesterday, when we came at the end of the meeting, an opportunity to, announcements for the board. And I found myself going, hey, let me tell you about Washington Elementary. We have 11 A-rated schools, and we're a B-rated school. All the years I've been on this board, never been able to say that before. So with much, much, much pride, I was able to express my feelings and how I felt about our district and the staff and everybody that's involved in what what you've all accomplished. So I just can't say thank you enough, and just keep on doing the great work you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate once again all of our schools for the great work they're doing and achieving for our students. Next, we will move to item 3B, the school budget overview. Dr. Hightower?
Mr. President, members of the governing board, in an effort to provide budget information to all stakeholders, Mr. Danny O'Brien, our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, has been presenting to different groups. We presented to families, we presented to our principals, we presented to different stakeholder groups. So as a governing board, it is important for you to have this information at the forefront as well. And then we're also planning to presenting to all staff. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. So this evening I will be presenting a presentation that we have, as Dr. Hightower mentioned, been presenting out to many stakeholders, groups. We will be trying to do it to all staff here in the coming months. And then any other group that would like us to come out and present, we will be more than happy to do so. So just kind of a little budget 101. It's not quite a 30,000 foot level look. It's a little bit more detailed than that, but I'll try to get through it quickly. Okay, this is just our mission, vision. We always represent our board and let them know who you guys are, so in case they have questions, they can get in contact with you. So where does the funding come? Again, this is just letting everybody know that M&O is our largest funding bucket, and district additional assistance is our second, and really emphasizing that this is based off student enrollment. We get a dollar amount per student that's enrolled, and so it's very important that we have our enrollment within the district. And then we have some federal and state grants. We have quite a few of them. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I will go through a few in a little bit. We have student activities, which are student-driven dollars, extracurricular activity credits, and then gifts and donations. And we have a few other, but again, these are just the high-level ones that you'll see at the school. Okay, Okay, this is just a little bit of a different look at it, kind of a brief description of what the different buckets can be used for. So M&O, obviously, most of it is our salaries, as you'll see in a little bit. Federal and state grants are always targeted for a specific person based off of who we received the grant from, the federal government or the state or what department. Extracurricular and student funds are normally used for things just for the students, especially when they're produced by the students through revenue programs. And then district additional assistance, also known as capital, is normally used for capital items, and we'll detail that out here in a minute. Okay. Always like to put up here, because everybody always asks me, Danny, why do you make those things hard? Why do you make school finance hard? I don't. The legislature does, the state does, the federal government does. These are just two of the main ones. Arizona Revised Statute Title 15, and then the Uniform System of Financial Records, which the Auditor General takes Title 15 and kind of puts it into a little handbook that they send out. I shouldn't say hand, it's really thick. It's really thick by now, but of some of the policies and procedures that we should follow and best practices. This is just a chart to just kind of show. This is all, the blue line is Arizona, the orange line is the United States, the whole country, just to show that we are usually in the bottom three, and we have been for many, 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 many years in funding per pupil. So I also usually like to bring up here is, even though we are near the bottom, we are actually near the top. So we are one of the lowest states that have admin costs. Our state average is around 10%. Washington here is around 8%. But the United States as a whole is into the higher teens. So really getting our dollars to the classrooms. Again, as I spoke, we have two primary funding sources, maintenance and operation. Again, this is about a $186 million budget. But the key on this one is, this is where most of our employees are paid for. And again, as I mentioned, it's based off our student enrollment, but approximately 86% of that entire budget is salaries and benefits. We are here to educate, but we're really a service-oriented business, so we have a lot of dollars into people. And then we have some supplies, anywhere from the classroom to the custodial to maintenance to transportation, all that kind of stuff. And then we have utilities and fuel. And we call these hard costs. We have to have electricity, we have to have water, we have to have fuel for our buses, and we average between 7 and 8%. So if you take the 86% and you add 8% on that, you can see that there is not much left of the dollars to spend on other things. It's really, really tight. And then we have capital, also known as DAA, and this is really textbooks, computers, buses, student desks, building renovation, repairs, major or minor, remembering that here at Washington that we do have a bond that does some of our major repairs. This is just to show a little bit of history of ADM. ADM is really enrollment. The state formula just does an average of a daily membership, so they call it ADM, but it's really just our students, and you can see there the history starting in 2018, 2019, just before the pandemic, and then how we have decreased quite a bit over those years. And this is just a little bit of a history from a salary history. So you can see there that from 2018 to 2019 all the way to this year, what we have given in the various areas. And one thing to remember there, 18 and 19, I always ask everybody if you remember exactly what happened that year, but that is Red for Ed. And so that is the initiative of 2020 by the governor at that time. That's why those are rather large. Okay, and then I just did a little bit of a summary. I've only been here going into my 5th year, so just kind of my knowledge, but you can see there some of the averages that we've been giving for staff. The average is about 13%, and then we break it down between our 3 classifications of employees. And then since I've been here, the district has had a goal of increasing base salary, and so we have gone from the $42,200 all the way up to $50,000 where we sit right now. And this is just a history. Washington Elementary, we do give one-time stipends, which is kind of unique. Not all districts do that. So this is, again, just been here for my knowledge. This is what it is. But it's important to point out that on some of those bullets, ESSER, or the COVID-19 funds, those were some large ones, and that those dollars are no longer with us. So some of those larger ones can't happen because we don't have that funding anymore. And this is just a quick slide on health insurance. I know it's always a big topic and rising costs is always a concern. So it's just a little bit of a history. This is the dollar amount that the district pays on behalf of the employee, and then always trying to keep as much of that onto the district and not necessarily onto the employee. So just a quick summary of our budget situation. At the beginning of this year, we have what's called budget balance carry forward, which is nothing more than just what are budgeted in our M&O and then what we spent and what was not spent or carried over to the new year. We don't have to return funds that we don't spend in our M&O or our capital budget to the state. We can roll them over. So we had a balance carry forward of about $19 million. Remembering at the start of fiscal year 25, we had $24 million. So we've used $5 million of that in various ways, including raises. For every 100 students that we decline, on average, we lose $700,000. Obviously, noting that if we lose more SPED students than regular ed students, it might be a little bit more, or it might be a little bit less. In fiscal year 26 right now, we're on pace to have a decrease of approximately 650. That changes every day. We have every day we have kids who withdraw, and every day we have kids who enter. We've actually this week at the registration center we've had a good flow of kids entering. So it changes every day. But on some points that we take, it's about 650, which is about $4.5 million. And remembering that as I always present the budget, and I will be presenting the revised budget in December at the December board meeting, we have current year funding. So every month when we send our numbers up to the state, our budget changes. And myself and the team track that very closely. One of the items for our loss, although there's vary, but one of the big one is our cohort loss. So what we promote versus how many kindergartners come in the next year, over the past couple of years has been averaging about 250 students. So that is not a loss of students. Those students aren't going anywhere, they're just promoting, and for various reasons, economic, birth rates and other items, we just don't have as many kindergartners in those lower grades. Utility inflation, just like at home, we use APS and SRP, and then they've been getting some raises. We had a City of Phoenix water raise last year. It's about $300,000 is what we use inside of our projected budget when we're trying to project it for the next year. So all things being equal, if we continue to lose students and even possibly more than the 250, and with some of the inflation costs and stuff, we will slowly start to eat into that budget balance carry forward, and possibly projected to have less than $5 million in that budget balance going every year. So we're kind of, if you will, cutting into our savings as we do. And I know that Dr. Hightower and we've spoken that $19 million sounds like a lot of money, but we average about $7 or $8 million every other week in payroll. So if something was to happen, I know some of us have been around during Senate Bill 1070 when we lost kids, the Great Recession where the state cut our funding. Any kind of thing that could happen is a possibility for us to have to cut into that savings. Just a few items on a couple of the other funds, large funds within the district is Classroom Site Fund, also known as Prop 301. This was a proposition that was passed in 2000 to give teachers pay. We call it menu items. There's about 7 or 8 items that these dollars can be used for. But try and remember that they're only for certain staff, mainly certified staff. Here in Washington, about 11% of every student's pay is paid for out of Classroom Site Fund. And it's not, Classroom Site Fund is done by sales tax, so it's not known every year, so it fluctuates. It's not a guaranteed revenue. We also pay our performance pay that is based off of a plan that is approved by the teachers. And that's about $3,167, depending on how you get your goals. And then Prop 301 was a 20-year resolution, so it was coming up to sunset or to go away. And the legislature several years ago re-upped it for another 20 years, made a few little tweaks to it that was kind of actually helpful for us. And so hopefully they will do that again. I joked during this presentation that in 2041 I probably won't be here, so I'll hopefully be retired by then. So, but the current concerns on is that Classroom Site Fund is based off of our enrollment. So as we decline enrollment, we get less dollars within the fund. And then also sales tax. Sales tax fluctuates every year. So if we have another recession or inflation is too high and we don't collect as much sales tax, then we won't receive as many dollars in that fund. I won't read all of this. This is just the allowable uses. Again, it's just a menu item. Again, we use most of it in Washington for teacher compensation, both base pay and performance pay. Another item for us is MIPS, Medicaid in the public schools. This is money received mainly from SPED students based off requirements of the federal program. This is housed under Medicare, so I know in recent months they've talked about possibly cutting it, so we watch this very closely. We have an estimated $10 million cash balance as of today. This was actually the start of the year, so and that's after fixed costs. We have some fixed costs in there. We use it to pay for some items out of SPED, so it doesn't come out of M&O. If you take a look at on average how much we receive and then how much we spend in either fixed costs or one of the uses that Washington has always done with MIPS Medicaid is those one-time stipends. That's where they paid for them. That we have about $785,000 every year left over. And that is what is collected to have that cash balance of $10 million. But you can see at 785 to get to 10, that takes a lot of years. So the more you use some of that excess cash, the harder it is going to be to replace. Again, revenues are not guaranteed and fluctuate. Every year Medicaid makes changes on what the rates are, what we can submit, what we can't submit. And then obviously the federal cuts being considered under the current administration. That is a typo. So we're watching that closely and seeing what's going to be there. Again, won't go through all of this, but this just kind of shows what Washington uses MIPS for. Again, there you can see some fixed costs, some stipends, some SPED. Indirect cost is another kind of one-time pot within Washington Elementary. This is money that we receive from some federal grants, most federal grants, because we pay payroll through federal grants, we pay accounts payable through federal grants, we have electricity. We can get a percentage of the federal grant to go into what's called the indirect cost to help offset those costs. It's a formula done by ADE. It's a very long formula. We have an estimate of approximately $5.2 million of cash balance as of June 30th of 2025. One thing to remember of some of those cash balances is that ESSER, we got indirect costs from ESSER, and then Washington got a lot of money from ESSER, so we got quite a bit of, so it's going to start coming back down to average. But again, very much like MIPS Medicare, we average about a surplus of 418. Again, we have some payroll people, some HR people, some accounts payable people that are paid out of this fund because they do work in the federal grants. Again, just a vision of some of the things that we use. We use it for some fixed costs. We also pay for some software out of there, insurance deductibles, and that would be property insurance deductibles, not medical, and then some other items. This is just a quick summary of how we build our school budgets. We give each school amounts from M&O and capital, and it's based off of their enrollment. So every year in January on the 100th day, we take their ADM and then we give a formula that we have been using for many, many years and then give it to them. As I mentioned, M&O is current year funding, but we do not adjust their budgets every month as their enrollment goes. We give them their budget and they can use that for the whole year. This is just a quick chart that shows where our kids go. So this is students within the Washington boundary and where they go. The one item that we want to point out on this is that the second to the end, where it says students that are using ESAs or voucher programs was 355. We have learned this year, I'm seeing this year, that is trending up closer to 1,000. So that is a lot of students that are leaving us for the ESA program. This is just talking a little bit about birth rates. This is in Washington. You can see that it's going down. This is not just a Washington trend. It's not just an Arizona trend. It's a trend across the country. Birth rates are way down. But this is just giving a little bit of information for Washington. And then this is just our current enrollment, remembering that it does change every day, but we do take a snapshot of time, and this was just one from about a month ago. And you can see there that we have what it is at each school. And with that, I will take any questions.
Thank you very much, board members. Ms. Peterson?
I just have a question. If you would go, I'm going to look at the slide numbers before I tell you what slide to go to, Shannon, this time. If you would go to slide 20. Okay, so this is the accounting for the MIP. So the projected ending is 10 million. So then fixed costs, 210,000. That's what we've already budgeted, those payroll, whatever that needs to be paid.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
SPED cost increases, 3-year projection. So we're expecting an increase over the next 3 years that will total 2.5 million. Is that what that means?
Mr. President, board members, yeah, so I go back 5 years and kind of do what has happened over the past 5 years and then do a projection out for the next 3 years. So that's that's not $2.5 million every year. That's $2.5 million over the 3 years.
Okay. And then one-time stipend, 2.4 million, and that's a 3-year projection. So is that saying that if we give the stipend that we have been giving it over the next 3 years, that's the expected cost of that?
That is the projected cost, yes. Again, it's based kind of off that 5-year average, very much like I did the SPED cost.
And we've been doing the retention stipends out of that, or the longevity stipends, or all of the above?
Combination.
Okay. But some amount of stipends have come out of that fund, and
Yes.
So you're budgeting that we would continue to do that in some form?
Yep.
Okay. And then what are we budgeting $5 million for the AEL for there?
That, Mr. President, board members, that is the amount that just, if AEL was to happen, we have to take the dollars from multiple sources. And so that is the estimate that I've projected that would be able to come out of MIPS to help cover AEL if it happens.
Okay, so you're continuing to budget for the legislature not doing their job year after year?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Adams?
Danny, so if I see it in parentheses, same page, going with the 2.5 on the cost increases, if it's in parentheses, does that mean a negative? That's a loss?
Mr. President, board members, yes, that's a negative. I mean, it's a use. Yeah, it's a use. So it's how the chart works, and it's a little bit of a funny chart. But if we stop getting MIPS, or we have something happens, get less, and we start eating out of that $10 million cash, those are negatives minusing the $10 million to show how quickly we would run through that $10 million.
So the way because it said SPED cost increases, I just want the community to, if they're looking at this, that's a negative.
Yes.
2 point, yeah, it's not an increase.
But we're budgeting for it. Like, we're not getting paid it, we're budgeting to pay that.
Are we budgeting or are we expecting to lose it?
Both. We're projecting that we would have to use that much of the possible savings to pay what we usually historically over a 5-year average pay. So if we get an influx of MIPS, that 250 might never come out of that $10 million. It's just if MIPS was to quote unquote dry up or not have a surplus and we had to dig into the savings account, if you will, That's what I'm projecting we would have to use of that quote-unquote savings account.
Great, you're being conservative. Appreciate it. Silly question, but cash balance. Okay, we had the cash balance. What was the other one that we had? We were collecting. I had it written down. I didn't write it down properly.
Indirect costs?
Thank you. I was just curious if we could commingle the dollars where we. Oh, I didn't write it down. This cold is killing me. I apologize. I saw there's like $5 million.
Yep. It's slide 19.
Can we commingle
Yep.
those dollars with the cash, with the carryover? Can we move that into the carryover? Are we allowed to use those dollars any way we wish? Is it so? If we have 19 million now and we don't use those dollars next year, can we increase the savings of the carryover?
So,
Possibly to increase the carryover.
Mr. President, board members, there is a possible way to increase the carryover. It wouldn't be commingling the funds, but there is a way to do that, yes.
Long terminology. My finance side. But okay, so you can use those dollars.
Yes.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Could you please go to slide 8? Oh, that just shows our two primary. Yep. I just want to just point out that 93 to 94% of our total budget goes to salaries and benefits and to the classroom. So I appreciate that our money is going to vast majority of our budget is going where it should. And then thank you for pointing out just the increase in costs from utilities to insurance, general inflation, but we're not getting any increases from the state due to that, are we?
Mr. President, members of the board, so the state gives us 2% in M&O, or has been over the past couple of years by state law, but they don't give us more just because utilities went up more. They don't give us more just because inflation went up more, no.
Okay. And then just go to the slide that shows the enrollment trend. I just wanted to point that out because obviously it's trending in the wrong way, and which is one of the reasons why we brought the Enrollment Stabilization Committee together to look at ways we can hopefully stop and improve that enrollment. You pointed out that carryover funds are declining in M&O and MIPS. So unless we're able to get more funding, then we are going to have to start looking at cutting expenses, correct?
Mr. President, members of the board, that would be a starting point of the discussion. There's probably lots of ideas out there on how we can do that, but yes, that is a possibility.
Thank you. I just wanted to make the suggestion that when looking at those cuts, that we start furthest away from the classroom. Any other questions? Thank you. Next, we'll move to item 3C, the first reading of policies 5-102 and 5-411. Dr. Hightower?
Mr. President, members of the governing board, we have a couple of updated policies for your consideration. For kindergarten, when we used to be members of ASBA, that policy included the early entry component. When we moved to the policies of the trust, this would be an update. If the board desires to consider it, that was one of the suggestions from the enrollment committee, to work in a committee to come up with a program to enroll kindergarten early entry, and it would allow students to have a high quality early learning program, families to have that opportunity, and then of course it would support in increasing the average daily membership. So that's one of the policies. And the other one is related to school-based referrals for behavioral health systems. And that one, it is more of a major. So, Ms. Tucker, if you can talk about that one, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you, Governing Board and Dr. Hightower. This is a brand-new policy, so that's why it's major, because we don't have it right now. It's not a revision or an update. But this just allows us to continue to have a policy that reflects the work that we're already doing regarding parental permission when we do referrals, and also reporting to is it the state? I'm not exactly sure, but there's a survey that is required by law. So again, we've already, according to our social services department in our schools, we're already doing it, but we didn't have the policy that reflects the work that we're already doing.
Thank you. Board members, Mr. Adams?
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Hightower, you mentioned the enrollment committee. Did they make the recommendation on the first policy
We wanted
change?
to make sure that if this is implemented, the governing board had an updated policy within that.
Okay, so did they write this?
No.
Okay, so why, and I'm just, and again, I have a cold, so I'm just trying, I'm a little fuzzy.
No.
Why is
not a
it, so, there's minor changes on this, right?
I think there's a major change in this.
I apologize.
This is a
No,
brand new
this isn't a brand new, because what currently exists, 5-102, the non-underlined is there. So it just recites pretty much the state law on enrollment.
Line is a change?
But the underline is all new.
Okay, and that comes from the trust?
Yes.
Yes, it does. It's they're copyrighted, so it'd still be copyrighted. It wouldn't be unique to Washington, I
So
guess.
the trust is just coming into compliance with state regs, and this is their recommendation, so it's copywritten versus what's going on with all this stuff with ASBA.
I think for clarification, it's an optional thing that districts can do. So yes, the language came from the trust, but it's not a requirement, so that's why we didn't adopt it when we adopted the policy. The manual, remember, we said we would go back and look at each one and take things that were maybe optional, because we didn't do that in the first adoption of the full manual.
Mr. President? So, what was it?
When we adopted the manual in July, it was just that top portion. That's the policy. We currently have this policy, and it was until you get to early entry was not part of that policy that we adopted in July.
And the trust added the rest of it?
It was always there with the trust. We didn't adopt it initially. So it's not new to the trust, I guess, there's other districts, even when we were with the ASBA previously, we had this language in our policy. We had similar language, obviously not the exact, but we had early entry, we had references to our early entry procedures, because we've had early entry testing and whatnot, but now we realized our current policy didn't reflect what we have already been doing and have been doing, so it's not changing anything new. Dr. Hightower, please correct me.
Yes, that's absolutely right. So within state law, governing boards could accept kindergarten students if they turn 5 all the way to December 31st. And a lot of districts use the August 31st date, and then some districts and some charter schools have moved the policy to December 31st.
I'm sorry,
Mr. Adams?
So what's the recommendation that we?
The recommendation is for the governing board to approve the policies as presented, and then the academic services team is gathering a committee that encompasses different educators, kindergarten teachers, academic services, principals, to figure out the process to accept kinder early entry students into our district.
This is a first read.
First read.
Yeah, so you're going to come back to us with that committee's recommendation?
No, we could always come back with a regulation on how that would be implemented, but it would be a first read of the policy as it stated.
Ms. Peterson?
Yeah, I guess my question is, so this language existed in our policy before, but in practice, did we have a procedure for allowing early entry? Did it exist? Was it in practice?
President Clayton, governing board members, we did have a process in practice. What we are looking at is revising that process. So as Dr. Hightower said, there's a committee coming together. It was a rigorous process, and we are looking for ways to streamline that a bit so that we can take account of students that may benefit from coming to kindergarten with that later birth date.
What I would like to know numbers of students that we have that have been through this process, and I'm sure that you don't have those numbers right now, and I understand that.
I do not.
But I do think that's an important consideration. To say that we have a process that exists is interesting, because that has not been my understanding, nor the practice of parents who've reached out to our district to try to move this forward. So I'm interested to hear that we've been doing this. I would like to know how often it was happening, how many students we were actually moving through this process and what that looked like. I'm not ready to move forward on this policy change, speaking as an individual, obviously, because I do have a lot of questions about, I do feel like it's a change to what we've been doing in the past, and I'd like to understand our past practice before we move forward with this language.
Mr. Adams?
Mr. President, Ms. Peterson, thank you so much for that. So that the next time we do see this come before us, can we make sure that those concerns are addressed?
And I can share with you from the knowledge and the listening and learning what I've learned, but of course we can bring a more comprehensive presentation on that. So one of the things that I learned was that we had a charge of $100 because the evaluation was so comprehensive. It was done after school. It was a whole battery of assessments that was quite rigorous. So that was one of the procedures that we had. The other one was that we only assessed in July and maybe had a couple of days where that assessment took place. And Lori, feel free to add to the list of procedures that we had as well.
Yeah, President Clayton, governing board members, that was correct. It was once a year, and it was in July. That practice had been in place for many years, and the reasoning was that we allowed for as much time as possible for those children to develop closer to the school year. As Dr. Hightower said, it was a comprehensive assessment. We were looking at social emotional skills. There was an academic component, fine motor, gross motor, but it was a comprehensive assessment. And so the qualification of students, we were looking at how many were actually qualified in that process. The cost was a factor. We were bringing people in to do those assessments over the summer, so it wasn't, we were making money off of that. It was just covering the cost of the staff that we were bringing on board, so OTs, PTs, were teachers that helped along with that process. So what we're looking at now is something that's more comprehensive throughout the year, and more opportunities, and not charging our families to have to go through that process.
Ms. Peterson?
I'm sorry, I just have one more thing to say. I have strong feelings about this. I believe the best thing we could do is to provide our kids with high-quality preschool programs for them to attend. Every bit of research that exists has suggested that there is really no long-term benefit to kids starting preschool early. And so to put kids in an opportunity where it may hurt them in the long run just because we want to increase our enrollment, I very, very, very would like us to really explore if that's the path that we want to take.
Thank you. Any other board members? Ms. Abbott-Biardi.
Thank you, President Clayton. So this says here that they may admit children, and so if I read the top part, which was our policy before, right, or the one that we adopted from the trust, that this seems like that's a thing as well. Like, it doesn't say may, but it looks like we could have been doing that, right? Bringing kids in early, is that right, Ms. Moore? Like, it's...
Yeah, that law has been in place, so our process did address that. It was just a limited process in how frequently and often we had done that.
And how restrictive it was and so forth. Okay. And still, even if this was a policy that we adopted, it still may admit. We don't have to admit them because they're young or even if they go through the rigorous or the not as restrictive testing and so forth. Even then, we don't have to admit them. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing no other discussion, I do want to just comment too is I agree with you, Ms. Peterson, about preschool, and that's part of why we're bringing in Stepping Stones to try to offer that literacy-focused preschool. So next we'll move to 4A, a request for future agenda items. Board members? Hearing none, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the meeting adjourns at 7:56. Thank you.
Thank you.